جبال الشاهقات على المدى تخشعن عند تلاوة القرآن فاحفظ كتاب الله تحفظ دائما ما أسعد الحفاظ في الأزمان.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. Could you hear me? إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. In the last lesson, we took a look on the commentary of the first three ayats of Surah Fatiha. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin. In those previous three ayats, in the previous three verses, we talk about that all the praises belongs to Allah, and He is merciful, the most merciful, and He is also the Lord of the Day of Judgment. Now, what's the conclusion about after these three verses? The fourth verse is the conclusion after these three verses. Okay. Now, the fourth verse, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, meaning that right? Have you got the meanings document also?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the meanings are: you alone do we worship, and from you alone do we seek help. Right? Now, the fourth verse, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, you alone we worship, and from you alone we seek help. This verse has a double aspect, one of praise and the other of prayer. The first one, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, it's having aspect of praise, and the second one, نَسْتَعِينُ, إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, it's having aspect of prayer. Okay. Well, what is the need to say إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ after the first three ayats? The first two verses of Surah Fatiha, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, remind man that as far as his past and present are concerned, he owes everything to Allah alone. For it is Allah who created him out of nothing, endowed him with the best form in the universe and with reason and intention, and continues to sustain and nurture him in the present. In the past, he was his God, and also in the present, he is his God. The third verse, Maliki Yawmiddin, Master of the Day of Judgment, tells him that in future also, he will have to depend on Allah alone. For on the Day of Judgment, one cannot possibly have a helper other than Allah. The three verses having made it clear that man is totally and absolutely dependent on Allah in all the three states of his life, it logically and naturally leads to the conclusion that Allah alone is worthy of being worshipped, because He is his God. He is our God in past also, in present, and in future also. Well, it is because the Arabic word ibadah, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, na'budu came from ibadah, which means worship. It connotes showing the utmost humility and submissiveness out of an intense respect and love for someone. And such an attitude of willing self-abasement cannot justly be adopted towards anyone except Allah. So the phrase إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, you alone we worship, expresses this very natural and logical conclusion. And once it has been understood that there is only one being who can satisfy all of our needs, it is equally natural and logical to turn for help in everything to Him alone. Hence, after إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, the phrase إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ has said, because He is our God in past, in present, and in future. So we worship Him. And one who is being worshipped, we should ask for help just from Him. Now, beside these two aspects, the fourth verse has another dimension as well. It teaches man not to worship anyone except Allah, not to consider anyone else as being really capable of satisfying his needs, and not to beg anyone else to satisfy these needs. It may also be noticed that the phrase إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, to you alone we pray for help. إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ means to you alone we pray for help, doesn't mention the purpose for which help is being sought. According to most of the commentators, it generalizes the idea of the request to cover everything from acts of worship to all possible matters, either related to this world or other world, like the Day of Judgment, or if it is religious or related to our daily needs. We should ask for help just from Allah Almighty. This is the meaning of إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. Now, well, first we should write what are the topics in these three ayats. What will we learn about in these three ayats? Number one, write it. Number one, why to say fourth verse إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, which is the fourth verse after the first three verses. I told the reason because He is our God in past, in present, and in future. That's why we should worship Him and we should ask for help from Him, just from Him. That's the reason why to say إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ after the first three verses. Number two, the two aspects of verse 4. Two aspects. First one was of ibadah, and the second one was of prayer. First one was of worship, and the second one was of help. Number 3, which I will tell you later, the forbidden and accepted forms of seeking the help. We will consider it in the last of our lesson. Number 3, the forbidden and accepted forms of seeking the help. We also ask for help in our daily life, men and our fellows. What does it mean? Because we are saying إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, that we will ask for help just from Allah Almighty. And in our daily life, we are asking help from our fellows also. Then what's the meaning? It will be inshallah considered in this one. Number 4, degrees of guidance. Number 4, degrees of guidance. Number 5, what is a straight path? Sirat al-Mustaqim. What is Sirat al-Mustaqim? Straight path. And number 6, who are those on whom Allah bestowed His grace? An'amta alayhim. Number 6, who are those on whom Allah bestowed His grace? Now, the conclusion of Iyyaka na'budu wa Iyyaka nasta'in is that we should not associate anyone with Allah in worship. It means that one should not love or fear or depend on anyone else as one loves or fears or depends on Allah. Nor should one repose one's hope in anyone else, nor should one consider obedience or submission or service to another as obligatory as the worship of Allah, nor make a votive offering or consecrate or dedicate anything to anyone or take a vow in the name of anyone similar to the way one does these things in the case of Allah. Nor should one show complete self-abasement and total humility before anyone as one is required to do before Allah. Nor should one engage in the particular God-oriented acts of worship for anyone other than Allah. Acts which symbolize the farthest limits of self-abasement, such as bowing, which we say ruku, and prostrating, what we say sajda. Conclusion is that we should not do anything of worship like ruku or sajda for anyone except Allah. Also, we should vow just in the name of Allah, because these are the signs of total humility and self-abasement. Right? Well, after Iyyaka na'budu wa Iyyaka nasta'in, in Iyyaka nasta'in there is a meaning of help. I said that we will inshallah consider this about this topic a bit in detail in the last. Next verse is Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. Ihdina means show us the path of the real path. Take us on the straight path. Right? Ihdina means show us the straight, to show anything. The first, to show anything or guide about anything. Ihdina, in Ihdina, the word is hidayat, Arabic word hidayat, which means to guide, to show the path. What are the degrees of guidance? What are the degrees of hidayat? Number 1, there are many degrees. In the surah, every Muslim asks about hidayat, guidance from Allah, whether he is prophet, whether he is a man like us. And we also know that the prophets are guided personalities. So why are they asking about guidance now? So the answer will be inshallah cleared when we talk about the degrees of guidance. Well, the first degree of guidance. The first degree of guidance is general and covers everything that exists in the universe. Minerals, plants, animals, men, jinns, and all the form of creation. That is to say, Allah has given every creature a particular nature and function and guided it in a way which should correspond to its station in the scheme of things. Thanks to this general guidance, everything in the universe is performing its allotted function with such marvelous efficiency. For example, we have ears that hear a sound and not the eyes or nose which hear the sound. Similarly, the nose smells but cannot see. The eyes see but cannot smell. Everything, every thing is doing its duty in a marvelous way. Allah has guided everything, whether it's living or non-living. Allah has guided a way that they are doing their duty. Like sun, it is doing its duty. It comes from west and then goes to east. Like moon also, that it comes in some days and it disappears in some days. All the things that whether they are living or non-living, they are doing their work in a marvelous and good way. This is the first degree of guidance. The second degree of guidance, unlike the first, the second degree of guidance is not general but particular. The first degree of guidance was general. It was given to everything in the universe, in this universe or any other universe. But the second degree of guidance, it is not general, but it is particular. It is limited to those creatures which are considered to be rational, which are asked for their deeds on the day of judgment, that is, men and jinns. This kind of guidance comes to every man through prophets. The first type of guidance was given by Allah Ta'ala, Allah Almighty, directly to the creatures. But this type of guidance, it comes to every man through prophets and revealed books. Some accept this guidance and become believers. Some reject it and become disbelievers. Now, the third degree of guidance. This is the major one, which should give us answer about this question that why prophets ask about the guidance when they are guided already. The third degree of guidance is still more particular, being special to true believers, which we call mu'min, and the God-fearing, which we call muttaqi. Like the first degree, the third kind of guidance too descends directly to the individual from Allah Almighty, and it is called in Arabic tawfiq. The scope of the third degree of guidance is limitless and its levels indefinite. Here is the sphere in which man not only can, but it is required to make a progress in the veritable sense of the term. Well, wait a while. So these are the three degrees. Well, the third degree is the agency of this progress is the performance of virtuous deeds. All increase in virtuous deeds brings with it an increase in divine guidance. That's why the prophets and those who are already guided also ask about the guidance in their salah, in their prayers, because so that they can get increase in the divine guidance also. Their guidance must be permanent till the day of their death. Okay, that's why every man should ask about the guidance. Every man ask about the guidance in Surah Al-Fatiha and in Salah, as the words Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. Well, now, keeping in mind the three distinct degrees of guidance, one can easily see that guidance is a thing which everyone does possess in some way, and yet no one, not even the greatest, can do without wishing to attain more of its advanced and higher stages. Hence, of all the prayers man can address to Allah, the most important is the prayer for guidance, which has been taught to us in the very first surah of the Holy Quran, and this prayer is as necessary for the greatest of prophets and men of Allah as for an ordinary Muslim. That's the conclusion, and that's the answer of that question, that why prophets and those who are guided ask about the guidance in Surah Fatiha and in Salah, Namaz, etc. Now the question about what is the straight path. Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, we learn about the meaning in Ihdina. Now what is Sirat al-Mustaqim? Now to come to the meaning of the straight path, it is the path which has no turns and twists. The term signifies the particular way of faith which equally avoids the true extremes of excess and deficiency. One who follows the straight path would, in matters of doctrine and practice both, neither go beyond the limits nor fall short of them. The last two verses of Surah Al-Fatiha define and identify the straight path, something man has been prompted to pray for immediately earlier. The verse say, Sirat al-Ladina an'amta alayhim, the path of those on whom you have bestowed your grace. As to who these people are, and another verse of the Holy Quran gives us detail in the following words. الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين, those whom Allah has blessed, namely, write the meanings, those whom Allah has blessed, namely the prophets, the Siddiqeen, which we can call the constantly true, the Shuhada, which are called martyrs, and the righteous. Meanings are those whom Allah has blessed, namely the prophets, number one, the prophets, two, the Siddiqeen, three, the Shuhada, and four, the righteous. Now, among them all, the prophets are the greatest. The Siddiqeen, which are constantly true, are those who acquire spiritual perfection and thus attain the highest rank among the followers of a prophet. In common parlance, they are called men of Allah or saints. The Shuhada, which are martyrs, are those who sacrifice even their lives for the sake of their faith. And the last, the righteous, the Salihin, are those who follow the Sharia completely, not only in the matter of obligations, but also with regard to commendable actions. They not only do wajibats, but they also do mustahab, commendable actions are called in Arabic mustahibat, which a man can do, and he is also permitted not to do. And wajib, what we can call as farz, he should do. In everyday language, they are called the pious, which salihin, the last one, they are called pious and virtuous or good. This verse then determines the straight path in a positive manner, identifying it with the path followed by men of those four categories. The next verse. It means that the true path, that the straight path is the path of those which is the path of prophets, siddiqeen, that are constantly true. Number 3, the paths of martyrs, and number 4, the paths of salihin or the righteous. Now, this verse then determines the straight path in a positive manner, identifying it with the path followed by men of these four categories. The next verse, غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ. The next verse is غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. The meaning of this verse is not of those who have incurred your wrath, nor of those who have gone astray. This verse, by a process of elimination, does the same in a negative manner. Now, the essential meaning of the verse is that in praying for the second path, we do not ask for the path of those who are the slaves of their desires, perverse in thought and action, and deficient in performing their religious obligations, nor the path of those who are ignorant or unmindful or miserly, and indulge in excess and exaggeration in religious matters, but wish for a path between these two extremes, which inclines neither towards excess nor towards deficiency, and which is as free of the promptings of desires as of doubts and confusions of beliefs. Now, in short, the prayer of the straight path is the essence of the Surah Fatiha. It is the most important thing of Surah Fatiha, since knowing and following the straight path is the real knowledge and the real achievement in this mortal world. Now we should have a look about what we have what we have learned in this lesson, in this class. Number 1, why to say Iyyaka na'budu wa Iyyaka nasta'in after first 3 verses? Because Allah Almighty is our God in present, past and future. That's why we should just worship Him and just ask for help from Him. The 2 aspects of verse 4 were also told that one verse is for Allah, one aspect is for Allah Almighty, and the second one is for His men. Number 3, the forbidden, and number 3 we will I will inshallah going to explain in the last. Number 4, degrees of guidance, the 3 degrees which were told. Number 5, what is the straight path? It is described in detail. And number 6, who are those on whom Allah bestowed His grace? Those are the 4, those prophets, siddiqeen, shuhada, martyrs, and salihin, righteous. Now, the most important question, that in verse number 4, we say that we ask for help just from Allah. We ask for help just Allah. But in our daily life, we also ask for help our fellows and those who are living with us. Well, The explanation is that there is a kind of help which every man does seek from other men, the physical aspect of the universal order. Keep in mind, the physical aspect of the universal order being what it is, it has to be so and not otherwise. This is the main answer. That what is going in this universe, it should be so. We will ask our fellows the help what we can ask. We will not ask them to make somebody alive. We will not ask them to make someone to give life the one who is going to be dead. This is not the physical aspect of universal order. Well, now again I am saying the physical aspect of the universal order being what it is, it has to be so and not otherwise. A tailor or a tinker, a carpenter or a blacksmith, each is serving others, and everyone is obliged to seek his help. Seeking help of this kind neither is nor can be forbidden by any religion, for it is part and parcel of the network of physical means provided to men by our God Allah Almighty. This is also defined in traditions because our Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, also asked for help from his followers, and his followers also, those companions also asked for help from the Prophet, peace be upon him. But the help which is according to the physical aspect of the universal order, that what a man can do, that what when we ask an animal can do. We will not ask anything from an animal which he can't do. We will not ask from any man which he can't do. What our God do, a man cannot do, because it is not according to the physical aspect of the universal order. That's the answer of this question, that when we only ask for help Allah Almighty in Surah Fatiha, why do we ask for help our fellows in our daily lives? Because that help is according to the physical aspect of universal order. Well, this is the last answer and last lesson before Eid, and inshallah we will have our class, next class. Those who are having today as Thursday, they will have their next class on the next Friday, and those who are having Friday, they will have their class on Saturday, right? And any question, if you have, you can ask after the class. And also, happy Eid for all of you. Inshallah, we'll meet after Eid. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.